Good morning. It is Monday, March the 21st. I'm Shane Seeley, and this is the CBC Morning Report. 2,500 jobs. That's the projection for the level of employment expected to be generated by the renewable energy sector over the next few years here in Barbados. Public Relations Officer with the Barbados Renewable Energy Association, Aidan Rogers, gave the assessment in a discussion on the People's Business last night, where the focus was on renewable energy, the budget incentives. Here's what he had to say.
On the job fronts, BREA is pushing for there to be increased training based on the interest in projects to be developed. We estimate we're going to need close to 2,000 to 2,500 combination of electrical contractors and installers for the photovoltaic systems. We need greater investment in storage. The Prime Minister spoke to this as one of her general policy objectives going forward. There are some plans for some partnerships on that end. And of course, as we invest more in renewable energy, we in BREA often say lower prices are not necessarily the end game, but greater price stability for electricity costs. But that is where the local ownership comes in. Because even if costs for electricity don't fall, if ownership is spread across a wider base or level locally, it is more economic returns and more benefit towards the economy.
And on the training front, the principal of the Samuel Jackman Prescott Institute of Technology, Ian Drakes, has revealed there's been an heightened interest in courses offered by the SJPI on renewables since the recent budget delivered by the Prime Minister, Mia Amor Motley. He also announced plans to help existing mechanics convert and complement their offerings in electric vehicle maintenance.
Because of the inquiry last week, my team, in terms of the registrar, curriculum development officer, are going to start looking at where we can have a standalone section for those persons, because we go right up to what we call the advanced diploma in the mechanical motor vehicle technology. And so we don't see the need to bring them back for 3 years because they do have the foundation. And so we're going to have prerequisites where they can come in having that foundation of being mechanically inclined and also publicly qualified. And we're going to offer that program where they can do those short courses. So yes, we are going to be considering that very shortly. In addition, what we have been doing is what is called PLAR, which is prior learning and recognition, where some persons have been mechanic for over 20 years and have not been certified, and we are able to do the gap analysis and see where you may have some gaps and fill those gaps through training, and then have you certified with the SJPI certificate as well.
Chargers for electric vehicles will be rolled out soon at homes across Barbados. Simon Richards, the co-founder of Mega Power, says his team is working with the Barbados Light and Power Company on the plan.
We're working very, very closely with the Barbados Light and Power Company now to work out how the smart chargers are going to be deployed in people's homes moving forward, who owns those chargers and how they deliver power to those cars. There's no point everyone coming home from work at 5 or 6 o'clock and plugging their car in right when the grid is needing all the power to run air conditioning units for homes, for the tourism sector, the ovens go on and everything else. So by having smart chargers, we can work out when we've got the greenest power on the grid or the cheapest electricity and deliver that to the cars when nobody else is needing to consume power, when industry is slowed down, when the rooms are already cool, when people have finished cooking their meals. So yeah, the homes are primarily ready, and the electric cars are going to give a lot of stability to the grid moving forward.
And that discussion on renewable energies, the budget incentives, will be repeated right here on TV8 on Tuesday morning. You can look out for that. It was an interesting discussion on the sector. We'll take a break here and come back with COVID-19 updates and a look at what is happening now with that war in Ukraine. In our COVID-19 updates, we hear that 2 more lives have been lost to the virus here in Barbados. Both are Barbadians, ages 55 and 60. They were unvaccinated and passed away yesterday. Their deaths bring the total number of lives lost to COVID-19 here on the island to 329. The Minister of Health and Wellness, Ian Gooding-Edgell, has extended condolences to the family and friends of the deceased. Meanwhile, there were 73 new COVID-19 cases on Saturday, 36 females and 37 males, recorded from 589 tests conducted by the Best dos Santos Public Health Laboratory. The positive cases comprised 18 youngsters under the age of 18, and the number of people in isolation facilities stood at 47, while 864 people were in home isolation. Under the National Vaccination Program for COVID-19, the total number of people with at least 1 dose stands at 160,790, or 70.4% of the eligible population. The total number of persons who are fully vaccinated is 150,665, or 66% of the eligible population. Looking at what's happening in the region now, cruise port officials in the Bahamas have welcomed the lifting of mask mandates for cruise passengers. CEO of the Nassau Cruise Ports, Michael Morse, says it has affected the experience for cruise passengers, as we hear from our news.
The rationalization that the rest of the world was not requiring persons to wear a mask outside. Thus, he did not understand why the Bahamas was still under such protocols. The port CEO says had the mask mandate continued, it would have affected the number of arrivals coming to the Bahamas.
When they're investing in a vacation, whether it's a land-based vacation or cruise vacation, they want to make sure that there's no disappointment associated with that vacation experience. And so we need to make sure that that experience when they're here in Nassau or in Eleuthera or in Ragged Island or in Abaco or in Bimini is very satisfying and pleasant, and we don't have police or some other entity running behind everybody saying put your mask back on and all that kind of stuff. So.
Morris says the Bahamas is heading in the right direction, expecting the CDC travel advisory warning to drop from 3 to 2. Still, he says the cruise industry continues to invest in itself. When asked whether the CDC travel advisory warning being at level 4 affected business, Morris says it did. And with mask mandates being alleviated, he predicts cruise tourism numbers will continue to increase.
How are we kind of transitioning out of this, fully covered up and, washing every 5 seconds and all the rest of it? And that is if we want to get and tap into the wider tourism market, we are going to, reasonably and appropriately relax some of these protocols so that people feel more, they're not uninhibited about traveling.
In the wake of the removal of COVID-19 restrictions across Jamaica now, the government there still aims to vaccinate 65% of the population, and they're saying they're trying to do that by the end of March. However, the target is unlikely to be met, according to experts, since vaccine hesitancy still looms among the majority of Jamaicans.
Jamaica is almost certain to fail to reach the desired goal of vaccinating 65% of the population by the end of March this year. That statement from Caribbean Policy Research Institute Capri came just days before Prime Minister Andrew Holness relaxed all protocols under the Disaster Risk Management Act, DRMA. While the reopening comes as exciting news to many Jamaicans, epidemiologist Dr. Peter Figueroa reminds that the pandemic is not over.
We are seeing where persons who were previously infected and get vaccinated, that they are even more protected against severe disease or hospitalizations and death. So it is still important, especially for the elderly, to get vaccinated because we are still at risk of a new variant coming that could cause problems.
There are Eastern countries as well as the United States and the United Kingdom reporting a new strain of the Omicron variant of the COVID-19 virus. Figueroa encourages vigilance among Jamaicans in light of this new development. Figueroa suggests a more personal approach to reduce hesitancy.
Now what we need to do is get many more private practitioners involved because people trust their private practitioners. And we need to ensure that the vaccine is also at most of the health centers, not just selected health centers. So when people come to the health center for their pressure, the sugar, or any other reason, or they come to their private doctor, or they come to the outpatient department in the hospitals, the health provider can offer the vaccine to them.
Let's go further afield now. As Russian military strikes continue to bombard Ukraine, the Ukrainian president and his soldiers are continuing to call for an end to the war. However, Russia's military has announced they've used a new type of weapon for the first time.
From the streets of Mariupol, the sounds of fierce fighting, and also a voice of defiance. A Ukrainian fighter appeals directly to the presidents of the US and France for air defense systems.
You have promised there'll be help. Give us that help. Save the civilian population. Children, elderly people are dying.
He finishes by comparing their plight to the Syrian city of Aleppo. With much of Mariupol lying in ruins and completely surrounded by superior forces, Ukraine says there is little it can do militarily.
No army in the world will be able to cross it, not even the US Army with the size of the forces we have now, unfortunately.
Using one of a number of humanitarian corridors operating in the country, an exodus of people has continued, telling the same harrowing tale.
There is no Mariupol. We sat in the cellar for 10 days and didn't leave once.
At this destroyed army base in the southern city of Mykolaiv, another search for survivors there. There's been a new appeal from Ukraine's president to end the war through dialogue.
I want everyone to hear me, especially in Moscow. The time has come to meet, to talk.
And as this war grinds on, there's been the competing claims of progress by both sides. The Ukrainians say they've been mounting counterattacks and have stopped Russian forces surrounding the capital, Kyiv. For its part, Russia says it has used a new type of missile with an attack on an installation in the west of the country.
Hypersonic ballistic missiles destroyed a big underground missile arsenal along with aerial munitions of the Ukrainian forces.
The Ukrainians say overstretched Russian forces are bogged down in much of the country and have resorted to using badly trained recruits in the fight. The Russians have released combat footage showing that, on the contrary, it's the Ukrainians who are on the receiving end.
And let's talk about economic sanctions now being imposed on Russia in reaction to the invasion in Ukraine. Well, they are threatening to destabilize an already weak economy.
Every kopeck counts as Russians begin to feel the effect of sanctions on their economy. $1 bought 75 rubles before the war, now it buys 100. That means higher prices for imported goods such as the fruit and veg in this market.
Sweets used to cost 70 rubles, now they cost 100, and chicken also. We don't live a luxury life, but the prices went up notably.
The price of sugar went up significantly, more than 10 rubles. I ran out of salt and sugar, and I couldn't find them. Now today they appeared. My pension would be enough. It is not so little, but I spend almost half of it on medicines, so very little remains.
Everything is more expensive. Sorry fish used to be 120 rubles, now it's 480. Last time we bought buckwheat, almost 200. Very expensive. It's hard for us. We want to eat.
Russian President Vladimir Putin has acknowledged that sanctions mean the economy will need what he calls deep structural changes. They won't be easy, he said.
Before the war in Ukraine, inflation here was already over 9%, the highest it's been in 7 years. That could now double. And interest rates are at 20%. All of this putting a real squeeze on Russian incomes.
At the Russian Association of Patriotic Entrepreneurs, some believe there are opportunities to be had as Western firms pull out. Though first, there are practical challenges to work around.
The whole supply chain has been damaged. Many producers are not sending raw materials or finished products to Russia. Even if they are, containers aren't leaving because of concerns about sanctions. So a big question for processing industries is what is their logistic chain. The ruble-dollar exchange rate is also a big stress.
Many Russians credit their president with stabilizing the economy after the collapse of the Soviet Union. It grew every year Vladimir Putin was in office until the global financial crisis. A group of international banks now expects economic output to fall by up to 1/3 this year.
Let's shift gears now and go over to Wendy to hear what's happening on the Monday edition of Morning Barbados. Wendy, it's over to you.
Yes, good morning to you, Shane, and good morning to our viewers on this wonderful Monday morning. Now, today we'll be discussing with CARICOM the current ministerial meeting that's going on here in Barbados with Guyana. Remember, we're talking all about food security and what the two nations can do together. That meeting concludes today, and Ambassador Commission will be along to tell us exactly what's been happening. Also today, we will be discussing the Royal Fidelity National Distinguished Teacher Awards. We'll feature 2 of the 10 nominees this morning, and they'll tell you all about why their students selected them or the parents to be the distinguished teacher. Shane, that and a lot more along on Morning Barbados.
Looking forward to it here in just a few minutes, but we'll take a break. We've got more news and sports coming your way. At least one non-governmental organization here in Barbados has been lending a helping hand to indigenous Ukrainians amidst the ongoing war with Russia. It is the Barbados-based Indigenous Democracy Defense Organization, and its co-founder, Damon Corey, tells CBC News they are actively seeking to get 40 people, including children, to safety in Poland. We do apologize for the absence of that extract, but Mr. Corey went on to say that anyone who is interested in assisting the effort can email him at eagleclanarawak, that's eagleclanarawaks @gmail.com. Let me give you that one again, eagleclanarawaks, eagleclanarawaks @gmail.com. Economic relations between Barbados and Abu Dhabi in the United Arab Emirates are getting a boost as both sides have agreed to organize a business meeting between the Abu Dhabi Chamber of Commerce and the Barbados Chamber of Commerce and Industry. This follows a meeting with the first ambassador of Barbados to the UAE, Gabriel Abed, and the chairman of the Abu Dhabi Chamber of Commerce and Industry. During the meeting, Ambassador Abed called on businesses in Abu Dhabi to visit Barbados. He told them Barbados possesses huge capabilities in several key sectors, including advanced technology, expressing his government's desire to establish long-term strategic relations with Abu Dhabi through the Abu Dhabi Chamber. He also pointed to his Barbados readiness to provide all the necessary support and facilities to the Emirati businesses to expand their operations to Barbados. The exclusion of an 18-year-old from the Senate is being described as unfortunate and sends the wrong message to young people in Barbados. Speaking to CBC News on the issue, Dr. George Brathwaite gave this assessment in reaction to developments there. The Cave Hill lecturer believes this will further isolate young people from the political process.
We speak about having youth involved and participating. We will go and ask them for their votes, but we do not want to include them as being part of that machinery. And I think it is most unfortunate. We have a lot of bright, sharp young people in Barbados that are looking for opportunities to express themselves, to demonstrate that they are a responsible person and that they can contribute to the growth of this society.
Dr. Brathwaite believes the Prime Minister will appoint another representative of young people to ensure they are included in the decision-making process.
If you listen to Ms. Morton's discourse over the last 5-10 years, you could see that she wants to demonstrate goodwill in terms of allowing the future generations to carry the lamp for Barbados. So I can see it being another young person. It might be some person perhaps indicative of one of the marginalized groups. Could be a young entertainer, a young entrepreneur. There's so many categories of persons that are often overlooked. So I would see Ms. Morton perhaps reaching to some person who's young and who has talent, who has something to offer.
Let's get some sports now. The West Indies and England played to a draw on the fifth and final day of the second Apex Test at Kensington Oval yesterday. England needed 10 wickets to take that 1-0 lead in the series, while the Windies were set an unlikely 282 runs for a victory in 65 overs. Well, in the end, player of the match Craig Brathwaite, he finished unbeaten on 56 to follow up his 160 in the first innings, and Joshua De Silva, he was on 30 not out. Earlier, England declared their second innings at lunch on 185 for 6 to set that target of 282. Let's take a look at those highlights.
Ah, the catch. It's down towards long off, and that's a very good piece of fielding in the deep. That might well be the end of him. It is.
Yeah, there's a spike as the ball is right next to the glove.
Got it! Oh yes! Oh yes! Oh, that's the one! That is the one! That's brilliant! It's a second innings 50 for West Indies captain Craig Brathwaite. It is a draw here in Barbados.
That's sports. Time now to look at the weather. It's nice and cool on the outside. The temperature right now 24.1 degrees Celsius. It's cloudy and slightly hazy. The relative humidity stands at 74%. The barometric pressure is about 13.5 millibars, and those winds are blowing nicely out of the east at 24 kilometers per hour. And that's all we have for you on this edition of the CBC Morning Report, this Monday edition. I'm Shane Seeley. Up next is Wendy Burke with Morning Barbados.
Wake up, wake up, wake up, wake up. Barbados, get up. Good morning. Good morning, Barbados. Good morning. Good morning to you. Good morning. Morning, morning, morning. Good morning to you. Good morning. Morning, Barbados. Good morning. Good morning to you. Good morning. Morning, Barbados. Good morning. Wake up, wake up, wake up. Morning to you.
And it is indeed a good morning. Hello and welcome to Morning Barbados. I'm Wendy Burke. Now this morning, as we know, is World Down Syndrome Day. So we hope you'll be rocking your socks and sending us your pics at 228-5562, 228-5563. Now this morning, we're going to be starting off with our conversations with CARICOM. And His Excellency Ambassador David Commichon joins us to tell us about what's been happening here in Barbados. There's been a ministerial which has been ongoing between ourselves and Guyana since the 18th of this month, and it ends today. They're discussing a number of major issues, and we'll find out exactly what. Good morning to you, Ambassador Commichon.
Good morning, Wendy. It's a pleasure to be here with you.
Yes, I am happy that you are here, happy to be here with us. Now, we've been talking Barbados and Guyana for some time. It happened at the last heads of government, and now they are in Barbados for a round of talks. Tell me what's happening.
Well, there was a meeting, Barbados-Guyana meeting last year in Barbados, and we drew up something called the St. Barnabas Accord. And then a couple of weeks ago, Prime Minister Motley and a big team from Barbados, we went to Guyana, and we had very extensive meetings with the president and his ministers. And so we added flesh to the St. Barnabas Accord. And now, over the past 3 days, a Guyana team comprising their Minister of Agriculture, Honorable Zulfikar Mustafa, their Minister of Tourism, Industry and Commerce, Honorable Onej Walron, and an extensive team, the CEO of Go Invest Guyana, officials from their Ministry of Agriculture, permanent secretaries. They have been in Barbados, and so we are implementing the St. Barnabas Accord. The St. Barnabas Accord has about 7 thematic areas, but on this visit, we have focused on agriculture and food security. And so a lot of work was done in terms of establishing a Barbados-Guyana food terminal. And that food terminal is going to be located at Lares, and that food terminal is going to deliver to Barbadians a whole range of fresh food products that we will be bringing in from Guyana and replacing a number of the extra-regional imports that we now bring into Barbados. So it is going to mean...
Yes.
Yes.
This is an area which Prime Minister Motley is very passionate about. And we're just going to go quickly to an extract to further open up and flesh out for our viewers exactly how much benefit this initiative is going to be to Barbados.
With respect to the return of regionalism, let me pause here to speak, because faced with the limits of what we can do in response to a dangerous and volatile world, regionalism has become even more critical than ever before. And it is therefore fitting that at the same time that what the world offers us has dimmed, what the region is now willing to provide us has brightened. The light has come after a long night. So I can understand that many who hear me today will greet this idea with much skepticism. But I have learned to let actions speak for themselves. Perhaps the best sign of a different region is the regional agreement reached just a few weeks ago with the regional telecommunications companies to offer all CARICOM citizens reduced and capped roaming charges and a plan for their elimination once we can settle on a single regulatory body for telecommunications within the Caribbean community. Mr. Speaker, we have spent much time, the Minister of Agriculture and Food Security and myself, the Minister of Foreign Affairs, meeting and working with the President of Guyana and many of his ministers and officials on several joint food production developments. I am happy to report to this Honourable Chamber that the President of Guyana has agreed that he will provide for Barbadian young people 25 new shade houses, prefab shade houses, which will be built and installed at Lears in the new Lears land lease project, and the Government of Barbados has equally committed to purchase 25 more of those shade houses, so that there are 50 shade houses for a youth agricultural enterprise initiative to be located as part of the Lears land lease program. We've also agreed with them, Mr. Speaker, for the establishment of a Barbados-Guyana food terminal, which will also be located at Lears, which will see wholesale and retail of produce grown and imported to ensure that we can continue to drive down the prices of food in this country for all Barbadians.
There we have it, Ambassador Commission. So not only are we going to be getting the terminal, but we're also going to be getting our young people interested, 50 of them, into the area of agriculture, because you know how important and critical it is to be able to feed ourselves.
Yes, Wendy, it is happening. It's not only talk, it's not only good intentions, it is actually happening. In fact, 5 of our young people will be going to Guyana to be trained in how to manufacture the shade houses. So the shade houses is like an advanced greenhouse. So that's going to be used. So we're going to use them in Barbados to propel our agricultural production. But the big news really is the food terminal, the Barbados-Guyana food terminal. And basically what we are doing, Wendy, what Barbados and Guyana are doing is really putting in place the CSME, the CARICOM single market and single economy between 2 countries. This level of cooperation is going to create between Barbados and Guyana a single domestic space. And so whether it's in agriculture, we are going to be collaborating with Guyana in blackbelly sheep. We don't have the land space in Barbados really to do blackbelly sheep on a really grand scale, but we will be doing it in Guyana using their land space. So we are talking 1 million blackbelly sheep in Guyana. If we had to rear 1 million blackbelly sheep in Barbados, we would need, the whole island would have to be a sheep farm. So we don't have the land. Guyana has the land. And then in the area, we also had the Minister of Tourism and Industry and Commerce, and they are partnering with our Export Barbados and our own Ministry of Industry, led by Honorable Davidson Ishmael. And one of the first projects will be the establishment of a Barbados-Guyana gold exchange or gold market in Barbados. So we will be bringing the Guyanese gold into Barbados. It will, and jewelry, but we will also be bringing the solid gold that will be fabricated into jewelry here in Barbados and sold we are going to set up 1 or more duty-free shops to sell the Guyana gold. So this is not talk. Space has already been identified. Guyana's Go Invest is going to have an office right here in Barbados at the Pelican Village complex. The gold market is going to be established in Bridgetown. Space has already been identified. And also we are going to be introducing to Barbados and to the Barbadian tourism industry, we are going to be providing space at Pelican Village for Amerindian artists and craft people. So the Amerindian culture is going to have a base here in Barbados. The cruise ships do not go all the way down to Guyana and Suriname. So the cruise ship passengers in particular are going to be able to get a taste of the Amerindian craft and culture right here in Barbados. And we're going to be introducing the Amerindian heritage to our Barbadian people, because up to now we have not really acknowledged our own Amerindian heritage. Barbados was named Ichiruganim, the Amerindian name, and they were the original owners of the country. So on this trip, we focus on agriculture, we focus on the precious minerals, we focus on commerce, but there are other areas. There's technical and vocational training, there's manufacturing, there's housing. So there are a range of areas that between Barbados and Guyana, we are going to have a partnership. We're going to put it in place. Prime Minister Motley has appointed a special envoy, Miss Althea Wiggins. She's the special envoy to Guyana and Suriname. So she is often on the ground in these two countries, making the links and helping to make things happen. So, on the Barbados end, myself, Mr. Mark Hill, CEO of Export Barbados, Miss Kay-Ann Braffett, CEO of Invest Barbados, we are charged with ensuring that the implementation does in fact take place. And we are on our way.
We are really deepening those relations, and that's wonderful to know. Now, the aspect that I'm interested in is the technical know-how sharing in terms of the young people we're going to be sending in and the other areas. I'm just wondering if, along with the agriculture, if we're also going to be sending some of our jewelers in so that they can perhaps firsthand learn about how to better handle the precious metal coming out of Guyana and how their goldsmiths deal with it. Because we would be accustomed getting the gold from other sources. But, you know, people always say Guyanese gold is that much richer in terms of being able to handle it. So will there also be technical share in that area?
Yes, Wendy, I think you have been peeping in on our meetings because yes, Guyana actually has a school of jewelry making in Guyana, and we will be sending a number of our jewelers, our young aspiring jewelers, to Guyana for training. And part of their training in Guyana is part of it is apprenticeship. So they will pair you with an experienced jewelry maker as well in Guyana. So yes, that is going to be happening. And the Guyana also has a school of agriculture. We will be benefiting from that. There's cooperation in technical and vocational education and training. We'll be looking at the construction trades, welding, carpentry, joinery. We will also be looking at the renewable energy sector because we are going to collaborate on training persons to install and maintain solar and photovoltaic panels. So a whole range of interactions and partnerships between the two countries. And, we have to give full credit to Prime Minister Motley and President Mohamed Irfan Ali of Guyana, because they have really come together in a very strong partnership. And Barbados and Guyana, the cooperation that we are doing now is going to set a very, very positive example for the rest of CARICOM as to exactly what can be done, what can be achieved. Tourism. We are looking at how we twin the two destinations, how we jointly market both Barbados and Guyana. So there are persons who may wish to come to the Caribbean to have both the traditional white sand tourism vacation that they can have in Barbados, as well as the eco vacation that they can have in Guyana, and they can have the two-in-one. We're going to be encouraging Guyanese to come to Barbados for vacations, and likewise Bajans to go to Guyana. We are going to be, Prime Minister Motley has said that we have to reduce the cost of the airfares between Barbados and Guyana, and so we're going to focus on seeing how we can remove some of those taxes that are on the airfares between the two countries, and we're also going to look at...
How far along are those discussions? Because that's something of interest to us all
in
now.
fact, I would say that those
the cost of travel,
yeah,
you know, it's a concern. Okay.
Yeah, I would say that the area, kudos to the people in tourism, because the people in tourism are the ones who probably got off the mark first, and so they have already set up their structures to implement the tourism-related aspects of the St. Barnabas Accord. So they already have their tourism working group in place. Honorable Senator Lisa Cummings. So yes, that work is already advanced.
Okay. Now today's
it is all
the final.
Looking very, very positive.
It sounds that way to me. Now today's the final day for the meeting here, and will there be anything special in the wrap up, or are we? What kind of send off are we going to be giving them?
Well, we already had our concluding meeting yesterday at the Hilton Hotel. And that was followed by a social event. And so, in a sense, we have concluded the visit with all the relevant formalities. Today, the Guyanese delegation will just be traveling out of Barbados. Some would have left, in fact, yesterday. So that delegation is going, but we are getting ready. In fact, we are having a planning meeting this morning at 10 o'clock to welcome a private sector delegation that is coming into Barbados. And that's another important part of the accord, because the accord envisages that the Barbados and Guyanese private sector will be working together to exchanging personnel between the various chambers of commerce. We are exchanging personnel at the Ministries of Agriculture. There will be a couple Guyanese officers at our Ministry of Agriculture, a couple of our Ministry of Agriculture officers at their Ministry of Agriculture in Guyana. So the private sector delegation is coming. There will be a massive Guyanese participation in our AgroFest this year in May.
That's wonderful to know.
Yes, over 100 exhibitors, possibly.
Okay.
And we will also be going to Guyana in May to take part in the agricultural investment event that is being organized in Guyana. So
okay, well, maybe next
it's an
Monday,
ongoing process.
Yeah, next Monday we can look at some of those other areas that we're looking to flesh out. We're unfortunately out of time. Always a pleasure talking with you, Ambassador Commission, about all that is going on within CARICOM and how Barbados and the others stand to benefit. I wish you a wonderful morning.
Thank you, Wendy. It was a pleasure.
Morning Barbados will be back, and we are gonna leave you before the break. We're gonna show you some socks. Remember, it's Rock Your Socks Day as we all do our part for World Down Syndrome Day. Well, these are mine this morning, you know, and I had to rock my socks too because I'm interested and I have a personal interest in the Down Syndrome Association. So I want to encourage all of you who haven't put them on yet, you've not left home as yet, get your socks on. Let's remember these children all need our support. You may think it's just a small community, but every little bit counts. They need our full support. And we're seeing some awesome socks this morning. Yes, they're going to be going into the schools. They're going to be going into offices. We are going to be rocking them at shopping. Wherever we go today, we are going to be rocking those socks. They can match or they can mismatch as long as you do something colorful and rock those socks. Morning Barbados. We'll be back in a bit.
Morning, morning, morning. Good morning. Good morning to you. Morning, morning, morning. Good morning. Good morning to you.
And now it's time to talk about the RF National Distinguished Teachers Awards. What is it exactly? Well, it's designated to recognize outstanding educators in Barbados' community who positively contribute to the academic development of our nation's youth. It's been going on. They've inducted almost 100 teachers now over the last 9 years into the NDTA Hall of Fame to date. And they've been representing all academic levels from nursery school to tertiary institutions. How do the winning teachers get selected? Well, it's based on inspiring the enthusiasm for learning and academic excellence, eliciting high levels of achievement from students in relation to their abilities, and encouraging students to take responsibility for their own learning. Now this morning, we're going to meet Suzette Blair of the Wesley Hall Junior School and Joyanne Smith-Connor from the St. George Secondary School. Good morning to you, ladies.
Good morning.
Now,
good morning, Wendy. Good morning,
how thrilled were you when you recognized that both your students and their parents nominated you? Don't all jump at the same time. Go ahead.
Well, I guess it was a humbling experience for me. I'm surrounded by teachers of excellence. So to be chosen was a humbling and honoring experience for me.
Okay, and what about you, Suzette?
Well, for me, like Joyanne, it was a humbling experience. And I was a little bit surprised because I didn't really, I've just been transferred to Wesley Hall Junior School. So it was a little bit surprising.
Well, that means if you had just gone in, your mark must have been felt across the board. What's your specialty and your year group?
Well, I am a special educator assigned to the Wesley Hall School. So right now I'm working with a group of Class 1 students.
Okay, and what about you, Joyanne, over at St. George Secondary?
Okay, well, I teach across the board, and I teach English literature, and English language.
Okay, and we all know everybody needs to do language, but there's some students who do not like literature at all because they don't like reading. So how have you been able to inspire them to get in those books?
Well, I think in class, I kind of use activities. Sometimes you have to use drama to make them interested in it. And sometimes we do read-alongs. So we may go online and we get to read along. And instead of just reading a book, there's a video playing and they read along with it. So you have to use different techniques and different skills to ensure that these students are going to love to read the book.
Okay, and if I can come back to you now, Joyanne, you said you teach year 1, and that is that formative stage whereby we start to do all the various assessments and we start to decide what level that child will be at in terms of how they go through the rest of their primary school education. So how has it been for you in helping them at Wesley Hall?
Well, for the group of students...
No, sorry, I meant Suzette.
No problem. For the group of students I have, they have challenges. So I have a group of students who, yes, they're at the Class 1 level, but in terms of their mental level, it's a little bit below. So I am now just working with them. We have IEPs, which are the Individualized Education Plan. So we have a program for each child. So even though they're in a class, there's a different program in place for each of the children in the class. So for the students who may be having reading challenges, then we have different things that we will do with them. For those who may have challenges in terms of communication, self-esteem. So it's a holistic package to cater to their individual needs.
And how helpful are the parents to you in helping to roll out these special programs for the children? Because, I mean, these parents would have also helped to nominate you. So how supportive are they of what is going on in the classroom?
Well, thankfully, For the past, I actually got transferred to Wesley Hall when COVID just started. And what I sought to do was to get a relationship with my parents, because once you have the parents on board, that is half the battle solved. So I'm in touch with my parents. They're extremely supportive. We're in a chat group. They know they can call me, not just with things relating to the academic needs of their children, but every possible thing you can think of, they will call about, because if the child is not okay in terms of the social environment, if they're having challenges, then that's going to be transferred over into the classroom setting. So we have a very good working relationship with not just with myself, but with all the other resource persons working with each child.
Okay, if I can go now to Joyanne to find out about your relationship with some of these parents, because you know there's a school of thought out there that once school finishes at 3 o'clock, now finishing at 2 because of COVID, that's where the disconnect should come. A parent shouldn't be able to reach you after hours to discuss what is going on with his or her child, and that, you know, maybe perhaps they need not be on your WhatsApp. How into that relationship are you with the parents?
Well, I have a WhatsApp group, so I try to at least have a relationship with the students, the parents of the students in my class. It is not so easy to have it across the board, but so I get a WhatsApp group with my parents. I try to get to know them and encourage them to come to the school, because unlike Suzette, sometimes it's difficult to have our parents come in, you know, they're working and it's difficult for them. So the best way to do it is through WhatsApp. And now we also have emails. We use emails quite a lot now. So that has also heightened the relationships that we can have with the parents, because they can, if I don't have time in the evening, then I can answer them the next day.
Okay, now before I go, what for you would be your takeaway to tell other teachers who might be interested in being selected for the award?
You see, that is such a loaded question, because there's so many layers to teaching. You know, when I first got into teaching, I felt like, you know, you go, you pick up a book and you teach. Like, what's so difficult about it? But when I got there, you know, there's so many teaching techniques just for the children to enjoy learning and for you to actually be an effective teacher.
Okay.
You know, there's the social part of it, the emotional part of it, and I think if you have a good base. So my principal is very supportive, the senior teachers I work under, and I have a core group of teachers of excellence who really, we bounce off of each other and has helped me along the way. So I suggest that you come in, you align yourself with people who are going to assist you, and you come in with an open mind. Don't think that you know what's going to happen. Yeah.
And for you, Suzette, what would be your takeaway to encourage others to try to strive for this award?
Well, along with what Joyanne said, also not just work because you want to be rewarded. Think about the children. Be passionate about what you do. And when you're passionate about what you do, others will take notice. And even if you're not rewarded here on earth, you know that the Heavenly Father is seen. So that should be good enough.
Okay, ladies, I want to thank you so much for joining us this morning. And the sponsors, the event, RF's largely philanthropic initiative, has awarded some $20,000 in cash prizes to the winners. And the program would not have been possible without the partners and the sponsors. And we have our own Ministry of Education on board with it. We have CBC Radio and Mornin Barbados, and also the sponsors, CIBC First Caribbean International Bank, the Pan American International Insurance Corporation, CGI Consumers Guarantee Insurance, West India Biscuit Company, and the Barbados Ice Cream Company for partnering with these awards. Now, you ladies are 2 among 10. I want to say congratulations to you. Well done, and keep on doing what you do in and out of the classroom. Have a great morning.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Have a good day too.
Morning Barbados, we want to thank our teachers for the National Distinguished Teachers Awards. They're the ones taking care of our little ones in the classroom, and it is great to see that the parents and the students have nominated them going forward. Morning Barbados will be back in a bit.
Morning, morning, morning. Good morning. Good morning to you. Morning, morning. Good morning. Good morning to you.
And it's time now to join Shane Seeley to find out what's the latest in news. Shane, over to you.
Thank you, Wendy. Here's your 7 a.m. headline news. There are new promising projections for the level of employment expected to be generated in the renewable energy sector over the next few years. BREA, the Barbados Renewable Energy Association, predicts as much as 2,500 jobs will be created at various levels in the industry. The Public Relations Officer, Aidan Rogers, gave the assessment last night on the People's Business on the discussion and the topic renewable energy, the budget incentives. Here's what he had to say.
On the job fronts, BREA is pushing for there to be increased training based on the interest in projects to be developed. We estimate we're going to need close to 2,000 to 2,500 combination of electrical contractors and installers for the photovoltaic systems. We need greater investment in storage. The Prime Minister spoke to this as one of her general policy objectives going forward. There are some plans for some partnerships on that end. And of course, as we invest more in renewable energy, we in BREA often say lower prices are not necessarily the end game, but greater price stability for electricity costs. But that is where the local ownership comes in. Because even if costs for electricity don't fall, if ownership is spread across a wider base or level locally, it is more economic returns and more benefit towards the economy.
Meanwhile, reports indicate there has been a surge in interest in training offered at the Samuel Jackman Prescott Institute of Technology for the renewable energy market. That's been revealed by the principal, Ian Drakes. He says it has prompted the SJPI to work out a plan to train and certify existing mechanics who want to convert their skills to electric vehicle maintenance and repairs.
We don't see the need to bring them back for 3 years because they do have the foundation. And so we're going to have prerequisites where they can come in having that foundation of being mechanically inclined and also publicly qualified. And we're going to offer that program where they can do those short courses. So yes, we are going to be considering that very shortly. In addition, what we have been doing is what is called PLAR, which is prior learning and recognition, where some persons have been mechanic for over 20 years and have not been certified, and we are able to do the gap analysis and see where you may have some gaps and fill those gaps through training, and then have you certified with the SJPI certificate as well.
We're also learning that a plan is in the works which could see more home installation of smart chargers for electric vehicles. Co-founder of Mega Power, Simon Richards, says it has to be done strategically.
We're working very, very closely with the Barbados Light and Power Company now to work out how the smart chargers are going to be deployed in people's homes moving forward. Who owns those chargers and how they deliver power to those cars? There's no point everyone coming home from work at 5 or 6 o'clock and plugging their car in right when the grid is needing all the power to run air conditioning units for homes, for the tourism sector, the ovens go on and everything else. So by having smart chargers, we can work out when we've got the greenest power on the grid or the cheapest electricity and deliver that to the cars when nobody else is needing to consume power, when industry is slowed down, when the rooms are already cool, when people have finished cooking their meals. So yeah, the homes are primarily ready, and the electric cars are going to give a lot of stability to the grid moving forward.
In other news, we hear that 2 more lives have been lost to COVID-19 here in Barbados. Both are Barbadians, ages 55 and 60. They were unvaccinated and passed away yesterday. Their deaths bring the total number of lives lost to COVID-19 on the island to 329. Meanwhile, some 73 new COVID-19 cases were detected on Saturday, 36 females and 37 males. They were recorded from 589 tests carried out by the Best dos Santos Public Health Lab. The positive cases comprise 18 youngsters under the age of 18. The number of people in isolation facilities was 47, while 864 people were in home isolation. Prominent attorney at law Gregory Nichols will today become the country's newest government senator. He's expected to be sworn into office on the recommendation of the Prime Minister, Mia Motley, as the Barbados Labour Party's final representative in the Senate. The development follows government's curtailment of its bid to amend the Constitution of Barbados to permit an 18-year-old Khalil Kothdiwala to serve in the upper house. Mr. Nichols is a former BLP candidate and a well-respected voice on issues of governance and the rule of law. Prime Minister Motley says she's confident Barbadians will welcome Nichols' return to the Senate, as he served there before nearly 2 decades ago. The attorney at law, who was first appointed in 2003 at the age of 28, says he's looking forward to participating on the appropriations bill, which is currently before the upper chamber for consideration. He adds that the circumstances regarding Mr. Kothdiwala's and the situation surrounding that is regrettable, but he stated his readiness to fill the breach. And reacting to the exclusion of an 18-year-old from the Senate, the UWI Cave Hill lecturer Dr. George Brathwaite has described the move as unfortunate and says it sends a wrong message to young people here in Barbados. Speaking to CBC News, Dr. Brathwaite gave his assessment.
We speak about having youth involved and participating. We will go and ask them for their votes, but we do not want to include them as being part of that machinery. And I think it is most unfortunate. We have a lot of bright, sharp young people in Barbados that are looking for opportunities to express themselves, to demonstrate that they are a responsible person and that they can contribute to the growth of this society.
And that's our headline news for this Monday. I'm Shane Seeley. It's back to you, Wendy.
Well, thank you, Shane, and do have a fantastic Monday. Morning Barbados will be back after the break.
Morning, morning, morning. Good morning. Good morning to you. Morning, morning, morning. Good morning. Good morning to you.
And it's time to make a call for the Cure Oxygen Water promotion. Remember, you have the chance to win a 12-pack of Cure Water, a polo shirt, and a face mask. 228-5562, 228-5563. Those are our numbers for the Cure Oxygen Water promotion. Now, what do you need to know about Cure Oxygen Water? That it goes beyond hydration. It challenges everything that you thought you knew about water by helping you discover great health and your limitless potential. Cure Oxygen Water, available on their website, www.shopsmjbarbados.com, and supermarkets nationwide. Now onto this morning's question. Each bottle of Cure Water has. This is your question this morning. Each bottle of Cure Water has. Finish that statement for me. What does each bottle of Cure Water have contained in it? 228-5562, 228-6653. Cure Oxygen Water, available at supermarkets nationwide. Good morning to you.
Yeah, good morning, Wendy. How are you?
I am great. And what about you?
Not bad. You look younger without your glasses.
Okay, I thank you for that. What's the answer?
Yeah, available 7 million. I can't remember where by days. Over 7 million of.
You can't just tell me 7 million of. It has to be a quantity of something.
Well, I have over 700 million. That will help you. What do you have to say? I know it's
All right,
I can't remember the answer.
That's not the answer. 7 is somewhere there, but that's not the answer. Try again. Maybe drink some more oxygen water and you'll have the answer for me when you call back. You're winning this morning the opportunity for a 12-pack of Cure, along with a really nice t-shirt and a face mask for Cure Oxygen Water. Each bottle of Cure Water has. Finish that statement for me. Good morning.
Hello, good morning.
Yes, good morning to you. Go ahead with your answer.
Oxygen bubbles?
That's not enough.
Okay.
All righty. Study it, folks. We've been telling you about this water for a little bit now. Cure Oxygen Water. It goes beyond hydration. I mean, it stimulates you and gets you ready and pepped for the day. And even after exercise, it revitalizes. So what does each bottle have? Good morning.
It has in spring water with bubbles.
That's not our answer this morning. No. Try again. Good morning, callers. Good morning, good morning. Rise and shine and think about what Cure Oxygen Water does for you. 228-5562, 228-5563. Good morning.
Good morning.
Yes, let's hear what Cure Oxygen Water has.
The oxygen water has in millions of oxygen particles.
Not particles, not oxygen particles. Close, but not close enough. Let's see if maybe another caller can get it this morning. Maybe if you change the particle bit and think about it a little more. Okay, she's hung up on us. 228-5562, 228-5563. Good morning.
Good morning. It has oxygenated water and it is supercharged with pure oxygen, natural electrolytes. It has no chemicals, no additives, and it's very good for your cells.
That is all true, but that is not the precise answer that we're looking for this morning. Some of what you have in there is correct, but maybe if you think a little harder, that number 7 is critical that the other callers were using. You want to go another try? Okay, she's gone. We have another caller on the line. Good morning.
Hi, good morning.
Yes, go ahead.
And it has a balance pH of 7.0.
No,
It's
that's
prepared with oxygen,
no
additives, no chemicals. It has natural electrolytes and it's smooth taste and natural spring water.
While all of that is true, that's not the precise answer this morning. You omitted a very important part of what pure oxygen water contains. Well, do we have any more callers on the line? Pure oxygen water, a chance for you to win a polo shirt, a face mask, and a 12-pack. Good morning.
Hi, good morning. The pure oxygen absorbs into the bloodstream and replenish the cell oxidation.
It does that, yes it does, but that's not our answer this morning.
Oh,
well,
okay.
unfortunately, we don't have any winners with this morning's answer to our pure water question. So let's see, what was the answer this morning? The answer to our question, or will we leave it for tomorrow? No, we're going to tell you exactly what our answer is. The answer we were looking for this morning is that it contains billions of nanoscopic oxygen bubbles, which are 7 times smaller than your red blood cells. So yes, it helps out with the blood, but we wanted you to know that those nanoscopic oxygen bubbles are smaller than your red blood cells. That's why the water gets through your system so quickly. So that's our cure question and answer for this morning. Morning Barbados will be back after the break.
Morning, morning, morning. Good morning. Good morning to you. Morning, morning. Good morning. Good morning to you.
And as you know, it's Rock Your Socks Day because we are looking at Down syndrome. And to rock their socks and have a special event this morning up there in Six Roads is the Republic Bank staff. They have been busy ensuring that they all rock their socks, and they're taking part in this day because they see it as being significant to the development of our country. Staff were busy readying themselves this morning as they got out their best pairs to ensure that they're good. Whether they're matched or mismatched, they are here for the cause. And that's what's important. Barbados Down Syndrome Association want to say a hearty good morning to Asha Aline and all the work she's been doing there with the Down syndrome parents. This day, as you know, is important because it speaks to the chromosomes that the Down syndrome child is born with. So if you have some more pics, send them to us, 228-5562, and let's see how you were rocking your socks. Now, this morning, we are going to be having a film that we're going to be telling you all about, which deals with HIV. And we are going to be speaking with Lori Chambers of the Because She Cares film project. Good morning to you, Lori.
Hello.
Now, The focus of your project is HIV and employment, with a focus on the African, Caribbean, and Black immigrant women who live with HIV and its challenges within the Canadian employment system. Now, that's a whole heap and a half there that we're talking about. What are some of the challenges that impacts on them? Because we know the obvious, racism coming into a country where, you know, it's predominantly another race, that type of thing. But beyond that, now we've added the virus. How large is this problem for the women there?
Well, thanks for having me. One of the reasons we decided to do this study is to kind of look at some of the challenges that African, Caribbean, Black women face in the sector as employees. Specifically, racism is one of them. There's also HIV stigma. And one thing that has been really prevalent is how they are often, their credentials that they gain in countries such as Barbados is not aptly recognized when they start work in Canada. And also to the issue of stigma related to HIV and how it impacts their ability to not only work within the sector, but also getting work outside of the sector, and some of the fears and concerns they have of disclosure when they live and work outside of the sector.
Isn't there anti-discrimination legislation to guard against one's HIV status?
Yes, but it's more subtle than that. For instance, one of the films, not being screened today, talks about how the challenges of getting medications. And even though a person's HIV status might not be readily known in the workplace, there's also the subtleties of what happens when things are disclosed. For instance, medication using the healthcare system, or actually using when you use drug plans. And the exorbitant cost of medications is one reason why people are a little concerned about how they can move outside of the sector and work, and if they can readily get the medication support and funding for their medications if they work outside of the sector. Granted, we do have legislation, but the challenges is anticipated stigma as well. How will people perceive me in the workplace if they know I have HIV?
Okay, well, it's sad to know that, you know, we're still all faced with that battle, and the fact that you're an immigrant makes it even a little tougher, because you're already in a situation where you're not feeling as if you belong 100%.
Yeah, I think one of the things that has to be recognized is the intersections of not only race, but also of immigration status. And oftentimes people don't recognize how people who come into the sector have a lot of experience, including a lot of work experience in health and HIV-related work. And yet when they come to Canada, often that experience is ignored or not as deemed as credible as the Canadian experience and Canadian education experience.
Okay, so they have the qualifications, but they're being discredited more or less within the workplace. So tell me a bit more. I was going to go on to tell you go ahead.
Oh, sure. One thing also I want to look, there's this particular way in which we do work in the Caribbean as well. And I remember my mother, who's a nurse, telling me how really important it is to do things culturally appropriately in the workplace. And that's one of the things that often gets lost, how the cultural ways in which people bring their skills to the work often isn't amply recognized when you come into the Canadian context, which I think we could learn from as well in Canada.
Okay, yeah, because some of some people in the Caribbean do really have that conscientious work ethic where they will go above and beyond. So let's hope it rubs off. Now, tell me a bit about the actual film, you know, because she cares. Tell me what some of the focus is, how long is the production, you know, those elements.
Actually, it's 12 films. It's 12 short films totaling 50 minutes. The films range from 3 minutes to 6 minutes. And what they do is show individual stories. We actually based it on a study we did on HIV and employment. individual stories of challenges and opportunities they've had in working in the sector. Some of the themes conveyed are things like tokenism in the workplace, HIV stigma and navigating it, the subtleties of racism, the challenges of credentialization, and those are just some of the themes. And also to ample recognition, not just in terms of recognizing the person's status in the workplace, but also recognizing they should be paid well as well.
So there's that disparity as well. Once status is discovered, there's a issue with what you should be paid?
Not necessarily that. It's just that with HIV-related work, it's often precarious employment, meaning it's often part-time. It's often work that is not paid at an equitable amount. When you work in social service sector, it's usually not paid as well as when you work in the hospital setting, for instance. So how can we ensure that that work is at a livable wage and also that it is full-time and with full benefits? Those are the things that we're trying to bring to light.
Okay, and what have been some of the agencies you've been putting pressure on to be able to get that done? Just outside of using the film itself, have you actually been pressuring through any letter writing, going to any politicians, what have you?
Not yet. We're just right now in the process of starting to share the films, and in that having a conversation of what to do next. We want to first start with the organizations that hire these women, for instance, aid service organizations and community health organizations. And then after that, maybe get into partnerships with policymakers and seeing how we can broaden our message beyond the health and service sector.
Okay. How open were the subjects of these films to being interviewed and being in the limelight, given that they are facing stigma?
Well, the films are all actors. Actors were the ones that were actually in the films. However, we gathered the stories of 10 women, and then we worked with a group of women who work in the sector, some of whom live with HIV, to kind of advise us on how to show these films and how to get the word out. But yeah, I just want to emphasize that it is actors on the film.
Okay, so no one should be feeling, a bit conscious or about not getting work as a result of being featured in the film, because we're all acting. But nonetheless, the story needs to be told. In terms of the pervasiveness of it, what would you say the percentile maybe is like across Canada for migrant women?
I would say in terms of HIV, it disproportionately hits African, Caribbean, and Black women, and specifically women who are immigrants. Even though we represent 5% of the population, I think our rates as of now are around 20 to 25% of positive diagnosis. And I think it's really important to look, though, at a lot of these women are thriving. The fact that my research is on work demonstrates that a lot of these women are in the workplace working and quite successfully. Where there's challenges, though, we want to bring that to the fore, particularly in health and social service organizations. And COVID has actually shown us that these issues aren't just related to HIV. It's related to how a lot of times racialized women, particularly Black women, are often hired in frontline service work, and that frontline service work is often precariously employed, underpaid, and under-remunerated in things including permanent health benefits. So our film is not just about HIV, it's about African, Caribbean, and Black women and how their work is not amply represented in health and social service sectors.
Well, here's hoping that your film goes a long way into raising that awareness and helping to bring about change. Laurie Chambers, I want to thank you so much, and I wish you and the Because She Cares film project every success as you go forward.
Thank you very much for having me.
It was a pleasure. That was Laurie Chambers of the Because She Cares film project. Well, it's time to see how socks are rocking once more. Are you putting yours on? Are you getting ready for the office this morning? You can have them short, you can have them tall. Yes, see, our little ones are representing at school. And it's always great to start there, because once you raise their level of consciousness, they will bring it home. Oh, these ones are splendid. I am loving these African prints. Awesomeness. I believe I recognize our designer there, and Pauline Bellamy. Good morning to you, and thanks for rocking your socks. You see, everyone who is rocking their socks is smiling. Why? Because they understand the need for us to be aligned with the Barbados Down Syndrome Association and give them our full support on this day. So keep those photos coming. We're going to be rocking our socks all day long. So let's continue to give the Barbados Down Syndrome Association our support. Morning Barbados will be back, and when we come back, we will be turning the leaves of a new book.
Morning, morning, morning. Good morning. Good morning to you. Morning, morning, morning. Good morning. Good morning to you.
To every man on earth, death coming soon or late. And how can a man die better than facing fearful odds for the ashes of his fathers, the temples of his gods?
Synopsis of a book written by Barbadian Wilmot St. Cyr, The Vault. That's what it's called. And it takes you on a journey which comes from Twickenham, England in the early 19th century, right here to Barbados in the midst of slavery, to examine what happens in the vault as we read a gripping and unexpectedly compelling murder mystery. To talk to us about this new chapter this morning, I want to welcome the author, William Sincere, and also Tessa Chatterton-Shaw, his manager and advocate for rehabilitation. Now, William is an author, yes, but William has also been within the penal system of Barbados, and on his release and during his time there, he would have gotten together and started to put his thoughts into writing The Vault. Welcome both to you, Wilmot, and to you, Tessa. Always good to see you.
Good to see you, Wendy.
Now, Yes.
I just want to say his name is Wilmont.
Okay, yes, Wilmont Sinclair, yes. Now, let's go straight to you, sir, and let's talk about how this book and your reform after prison life came about in terms of your journey as an urban writer.
Okay, well, this book came about after doing some research in funeral statuary. That's like the cherubs and gargoyles or whatever that you will see on tombstones or around graves. And I then stumbled upon the historic churches of Barbados, written by Professor Henry Fraser, and I went on to research the historic churches of Barbados and the Gothic structures and so on. And it's there that I stumbled upon the Chase Vault, and then while incarcerated, it became one of the tales that I decided to write on. I usually write on true life events that took place in Barbados, but in a fictionalized form.
Okay, so Tessa, how have you connected with Wilmont?
Wendy, first of all, just let me say thank you for this opportunity. I've met Wilmont about 5 years ago when I was working at the CARICOM Secretariat in Guyana. And we had the opening of a project on drugs, crime, and security at the regional security system. Actually, the launch, as much as I was working regionally, the launch was held here in Barbados. And Wilmont was seated at the head table with former Ambassador Erwin LaRocque and head of the EU delegation, and he gave such a powerful testimony. But I think what is important for me is that his work be recognized and promoted across the length and breadth of Barbados, not just the vault, but fields of death. He has inspired me to start writing my own book, but he has a very unique way of writing nonfiction and weaving historical facts about Barbados into both books. My role is to, of course, COVID has sort of, set back some of our planning. We want to have a book launch. We're actually sort of speaking to potential sponsors. I don't want to identify them yet, but I firmly believe that he has a powerful, not just in terms of his written work, which has been recognized in the USA, Canada, Ghana, Liberia, but the whole process of reform and rehabilitation, giving people second chances.
Well, let's go back to Wilmont to find out about his second chance at life and how generally you see the craft of writing coinciding with what you've been through in the penal system and your reformation.
I see we as the black race as a powerful creation of God, and that we have suffered under colonization and a lot of different discriminations all through from the times of our forefathers, and that we are capable, like any other human beings, of making mistakes, and not even one mistake, but maybe two or three. And some people make these several mistakes in other ways or in other forms. And incarceration is not for animals, but for human beings. And I put my past behind me. I'm patriotic. I'm a Barbadian, and I think that the stories that I write can reach the world the same as Austin Tom Clark work has done, and the great George Lamin, and and writing shows the maturity of a nation. And I said it to myself, I mean, why not do it? Writing should not only be preserved for a few, but anyone has a story, and I decided to put the true stories of Barbados into writing and promote my work throughout the world, even if it wasn't paid any attention by the local public. And it has been recognized in North America, and I was honored in Toronto in 2020. I actually was invited in Toronto in 2016 when Fees of Death was awarded 8 months later. So the writing has done good for me. It has elevated my life, and what I expect is that the cultural industries and people that are at the control of literature in the country would see literature as something very important, and that shows the maturity of a nation.
Would you
And
like to see your book perhaps being taught within, say, the UWI faculty to learn from this? Because we read other historic thrillers and romantic type novels as well there. And one of the things I find that you have very skillfully weaved is that you seem to have a love and an interest in architecture. And you've weaved those little nuances about the buildings and the clothing and the entire look of the place very skillfully in with the actual tale. You talk about slavery, you talk about abolition, and you also present a lot of the historic places of interest in Barbados, not just the Chase Vault in Christchurch, but a lot of other things are woven in. So where would you like to see this book go in Barbados, since most of your recognition so far has come from outside?
Well, what I would like to see is my work spread throughout the tourism sector and all of the educational institutions in Barbados, because the vault that is written about in this book, it has so much significance that I often wonder why it's not still a tourist attraction. We had great writers that wrote about the vault, like Sir Arthur Conan Doyle. He was the inventor of Sherlock Holmes. We had Sir Algernon Aspinall. We had Voyager Captain James Alexander, who wrote the transatlantic sketches. So they have so much great people that had paid attention to this vault. So I decided, let's just bring some truth about this fascinating tomb. The same way that the pyramids in Egypt are seen as wonderful sites in dark tourism. We can also use these things, the structures of Barbados dark tourism, in which we visit tombs or memorials, or even the catacombs below Paris. So I decided, I think that a lot of the information in this book would be very interesting for even the average man on the streets. But that's the way that I write. I try to get my work that anyone can relate to it. And I think that is very important for the education of the country. Yes, I would love that opportunity once it's offered, and once any stigma is not added to anything, that I get the opportunity to introduce my work and speak on the work at the University of West Indies.
I'm glad you said that, because I found it very interesting that you did say you've put your past behind you and you don't want to be seen as just that, but you are an author, you've already made your recompense, and you are living a life, and you noted that the work has elevated you. Now, in terms of where our young people are going these days, and the level of destruction that some people see, do you think maybe perhaps some of them can look to pull out that creativity from within before they get to that space and place?
Well, yes, I see a lot of the youth in these less fortunate communities. I think that talent is the thing that can really cause them to, say, well, let me change from this kind of attitude. And I've tried my best to speak at many places across the island, and we try to put them on the right path. And because that writing is an art that we take very, very lightly, and I think that it should be introduced even more to the common man in the country, because knowledge is power, as we should all know. And I think the historical aspects would also allow our people to see our past and try to change whatever we can, whether it is structure in governments or whether it's among the communities itself. See the value of the human race and the black race.
129 chapters. That is what you have put into the vault. Now, that's quite a bit. And you have found a way to weave the history, all of the tales, the whole abolition, the slavery process, the massa, all of it you've weaved in looking at the vault. So I want to say congrats on this book you've written before, but
Thank
now
you.
we have another one before us. Now, Tessa, before we go quickly, how can we get this book, and when are you really going to be able to launch, or will it have to be done virtually?
No, we actually want a face-to-face launch, you know, mindful of COVID protocols. We're actually meeting with 2 sponsors this week. I can't give you a date, but the book is available on Amazon. In fact, both books are available on Amazon, but the challenge now is to port multiple copies so that they can be available for the launch. They can be placed in bookstores and other places.
Okay.
But Wilmont is a phenomenal writer, and it's interesting. If you look at the back of the vault, it says a nail-biting page turner. The vault is a master class in the appearance of colonial conviviality and the stark construct of race, all wrapped neatly in the bow of a ritualistic colonial murder mystery. And that's a filmmaker from Liberia.
And he's also been likened to Fanon in terms of his writing, so we know that he is inspiring. Well, Tessa Chatterton-Shaw and Wilmont Sincere, the author of The Vault, I want to thank you for joining us this morning on Morning Barbados. Please get back to us and let us know when the actual launch is going to be taking place. We're talking about pushing the arts in Barbados, and literature is among those arts. So again, congratulations to you, Wilmont, on your second book, and
Thank you.
I wish you all the best. Tessa, always good to see you. Have a great morning.
Thank you, Wendy.
Morning Barbados will be back after the break.
Morning, morning, morning. Good morning. Good morning to you. Good morning to you.
And we're back. And as I told you, we're all rocking our socks today, and we've been encouraging you to send those pictures. And the PriceSmart staff are on board with this Down Syndrome initiative today. Yes, they were out rocking their colorful socks as they prepare to open their doors to shoppers for all that they have to offer. Yep, PriceSmart staff, way to go. Rock your socks day, all day up until 11:59. Rock those socks today for us, folks. and also rocking their socks. But there were some other things rocking over the weekend, and one of them was cricket. And the BCMI had some special social media influencers in to help with the promotion of the game and of the country. And one of those people who they brought in was personality Rushane Rushcam Campbell out of Jamaica, a content creator. Now, Rushcam, a lawyer turned content creator, joined a number of other people at cricket. Rushcam, how was it?
Hello, Wendy. Good morning. It was phenomenal. I had a really good time. The tour was great. The vibe was great. The snow cones were great. And yeah, I'm really happy that I was able to be a part of this.
Okay, and how much posting did you do on your various social media platforms of Barbados? What were the things you encourage people to come here and see most?
Well, you know what? I tried a multiplicity of things. So I was like, okay, you have the catamaran cruise that you can go on. You can go on on yesterday. We did yoga. There was cricket. We did the underwater submarine. There were so many different things that I showed on social media, and all of that will be captured in a vlog that I'll post on my YouTube channel when I return to Jamaica, which is tomorrow. So
okay.
Everything will be captured, and it was so amazing.
But what did you enjoy the most that you did on this trip?
Ooh, Wendy, that's a tough one. You know what? I will say the underwater submarine was a pleasant surprise because first of all, I was like, I'm not going underwater so many feet. And to see, no, seriously. I mean, I'm an island boy, but not so much. But to see the different life, animal life and all of that underwater, the coral reefs, that just to capture like the essence of Barbados in a different way. It was really, and it was a good lesson in nature as well. So I really enjoyed that.
Well, I'm happy that you enjoyed our underwater submarine. It's a wonderful, wonderful dive, and it's even nicer
Absolutely.
at night. It is awesome to
Ooh.
see all. Yeah, a night dive is an awesome thing to behold because there's some underwater creatures that they actually have this iridescence about them, so they really light up the underwater. Yeah, so I'm happy that you enjoyed your trip, Rushcam. What flavor snow cone did you have?
Ooh, I had a pineapple. I had a pineapple and coconut mix with some condensed milk.
Oh, very good. A snow cone is not a snow cone without condensed milk on top. Here you are at Kensington enjoying yourself. The match didn't turn out how we wanted it, but nonetheless, it was an enjoyable weekend. And I'm sure you made the most of it. Now, you know Barbados because you've been about. Did you get to the Gap? Did you get to any fetting?
You know what, Wendy? On Friday night, I went on 2nd Street, is it?
Yes.
Whole Town? Yes, we went to Red Door, went to Jamestown, went to another place, and we did some bar hopping, and it was so fun. Yes.
And you made sure to have lots of Barbados rum.
Oh yes, Mount Gay, and we did the tour earlier. We did the tour on the Saturday. No, we did the tour earlier on the Friday. So it was a rum day. Friday was rum day for me. So I loved it.
Great, that's awesome. You enjoyed the things that are Bajan. Did you get to have any breadfruit? Any pudding and sauce?
You know what? I had a breadfruit with some other things in it. Very nice. It was a belly full.
A breadfruit
not
bowl.
Sure about I could. Yeah, breakfast, lunch, and dinner in one. So much, but it was great. Yes,
Well, I'm
Wendy,
glad.
I was looking forward to seeing you.
Oh dear, I wish I could have come, but I had to work. So I was indoors while you all enjoyed it all on the outside. But I did keep my eyes glued to that television to see everybody enjoying themselves at the Oval over at Legends as well. So it was a party all around on Fontebelle, you know, as we took in that weekend action. And I'm really looking forward to what you will be bringing and showing on your channels of Barbados, because it's always great to see us from the eyes of someone else. We know what we have, we sometimes take it for granted, but when people come and are fully immersed in our culture and then show it to the rest of the world, it's even more thrilling and gives us that sense of appreciation once again. So I want to thank you, Rushane Rushcam Campbell, for not only joining us on Morning Barbados, but being a guest of the BTMI and putting Barbados, well, a little further out there in terms of your following, so we can get some young professionals like yourselves visiting.
Yes. Thank you so much, Wendy. And I'd just like to thank the BTMI for the invitation. You know, regional travel is something that is not sometimes encouraged. People are like, oh, let's go to Bali, let's go to Paris, let's go to China, let's go to the Maldives. And to see regional travel as something that is fun, luxurious, exciting, I'm so happy that I was a part of the experience, and I hope to be back for Krakowa.
Yes, we will see you on the streets then, and maybe you'll get to see me, because that's my time of the year. So once again, Rushane Rushcam Campbell, have a brilliant morning and enjoy your trip back.
Thank you, and have a great day. Bye.
We want to thank him and all the others for being here. We'll be back after the break.
Morning, morning, morning. Good morning. Good morning to you. Morning, morning, morning. Good morning. Good morning to you.
And as you know, it's World Rock Your Socks Day. But along with wearing those socks to show your awareness and your support for those with Down syndrome, we also need you to go out there and contribute to them. Help them with the work that they need to be doing. Asha Aline out there is president, doing a great job. Go to their Facebook page and find out how you can make that donation on their Scotiabank account, or the other ways that you might be able to assist the association with some of its needs. Morning Barbados, it was a pleasure bringing it to you this morning. I'm Wendy Burke, and we'll leave you here now with some socks to rock your day.
Wake up, wake up, wake up, wake up. Barbados, get up. Good morning. Good morning, Barbados. Good morning. Good morning to you. Good morning. Morning, morning, morning. Good morning to you. Good morning. Morning, Barbados. Good morning. Good morning to you. Good morning. Wake up, wake up, wake up, wake up. Barbados, get up. Good morning. Good morning, Barbados. Good morning. Good morning to you.